a local access station and even copies in some of the local libraries. That if they don't have cable, they can rent the DVD.
Yeah, I'm sure many schools seeing this probably would request, as you say, you can be used as a teaching material.
Yes.
It's very, very nice. Okay. Good.
So I guess we're going to fade it out with another sample from the DVD.
Right.
And thanks again for having me. And there we go.
Classroom activity where we get brown trout eggs from the New York State Fish Hatchery. We hatch the eggs, raise the trout for a period of 6 months. And this time it was kind of exciting. We released the brown trout into the waters near Somers High School. And it's a nice way to be part of the ecosystem. Just pull, move slow, but pull steady.
Your waiter comes off. You got it, Katie.
Worst thing happens, we both fall in. Try to scoot out the brown trout from here.
Oh, they're coming.
They coming?
Even the local news station showed up to interview the students.
Somers High School.
Yeah? Tell me, what are you doing out here?
I came with my friend as part of the environmental club.
In the water, I had to put on 2 big boots, and it was a good it was a fun experience, but since the water it was really muddy, the boots would get stuck in there, and then you feel like you're gonna fall, you're gonna slip, and then you can't get the boot out.
The neat thing about the anglefly is it has so many different water habitats where it's not only ponds, lakes, or streams, or vernal pools, but the quality of water differs from each. The stream where we're going is very clear water, and there's very little sediment. And with that, it brings a whole new variety of creatures. So that's today's lesson. Diversity in water habitats.
Welcome back to Scramble Game Show. You have just seen a interview with Will Michael, who's a naturalist. I'm sure you enjoyed it. Now the rest of the show, we're going to introduce you a new game. This game is called Scramble Crossword. If you are a frequent viewer, you will know that Scramble games are designed to be easy to sort of learn, but fun to play, and it's also very challenging to your brains. Now, Scramble Word is the first game that we introduced and played by many people, and the kids really love that game. It's a game sort of adapted the Scramble basic principles, but added with the feature of scrambling, and that's the key, because scrambling allows you to rebuild the vocabulary or the words you played, and by definition, it keeps you producing longer words, whereas in Scrabble you're limited to 7 letters and in a fixed board. So the Scramble Word is a very flexible game, and based on the scrambling feature, we actually derived many other games, such as Scramble Poker, Scramble Mahjong, Scramble Bingo, and recently we also introduced the Scramble game to play the chemical symbols as a game. The Scramble Crossword, as you probably could imagine, is very similar to Crossword game. Crossword is a very big game sort of in the media. As you open almost any newspaper, you'll find crossword puzzles. Now, crossword puzzles is designed with a fixed pattern and a fixed sort of messages or words or definitions correlated in this pattern, and you sort of play as a solitaire game. Now, the Scramble Crossword game can be played as a solitaire game as well, but more interestingly, is that you can play this as a group game, particularly several kids or a family can sit together and play. So today we're going to show you how this game is played. We have produced a few slides, and using our we call the screen technology to superimpose with camera shots so that we can introduce to you easily from my position. Okay, see, right now you have a screen that in front of you. It's giving you this title, Scramble Crossword. Okay, now let me go on to show you how this game is played. Normally you have a deck of cards, and you take the deck of cards, you shuffle and so on, you start putting down the letters, and you spell words. Now in Scramble Word, you spell a word, you take it, you own it, and you can steal from each other. It's a very sort of competitive game. The crossword is slightly different. Now we want you to make a crossword pattern. Okay? So let's have the first example a page to sort of show you how we begin. If we had cards like this, you open up, okay, what would happen? Now, the first page, for example, is four-letter word, right? D-O-N-E. That is actually the four letters. Suppose if I dealt the letters that came up is four letters is D-O-N-E, you can spell it, and that will be the word as a beginning word. Of course, I don't have these cards arranged in sequence really according to these slides, but you have this spelling in front of you now, and the cards are continued to be dealt, okay, to the players or to the table. And now you start building the crossword. Okay, let's have the second slide. Now, the second slide is, I can see this is a M-T-O-R added on top of this D-O there. So you have done and motor, right? So that's definitely like a crossword pattern there. You have done horizontally, motor vertically. Now the letter M, T, O, R, of course, were dealt as players that dealt these cards out. Okay. Now, if we continue this, see at the left-hand corner, you see the letters R-O-A-T-M. We only used R-O-T-M to make the motor, so the A was left. Okay. Now, we continue to deal cards. So we'll have next slide show you. The next slide show you the A is left over, but new letters come up. Okay. Now that letter allows you now to make this R-A-N-G-E-S, ranges. Ranges doing horizontally from motor, the R as the first letter, you add A-N-G-E-S, okay? So this is the way you build the crossword pattern up, okay? Now, I am introducing this right now as an illustration, but in the real game, you can have 2 people play, you can have 3 people play, or as many as 5, 6 people in your family all can play, because based on the beginning letter and people start to build words, you can always add letters onto it. Now, you can just do this for fun without sort of competition or competitiveness. That is okay, just see how words can be built. As a family, maybe the parents, kids all play together. But you can also make this game as a competitive game. Then, for example, 2 people play. Every time you dealt the letters and so on, and if person able to add to the crossword, building other words or longer words and so on, then you will keep score. You'll keep the words that you made on a score sheet, and that way at the end you can compare one player made so many words. Another player, a list of words. Now, this just on the vocabulary side. If you really want to add it more sort of a competition, we can add the math. That is, start counting the points on the card. As you know, these cards has value points and the bonuses and so on, and to allow you to compute how many points you get per particular word. Okay, so this is how is being played. Let's continue on. Okay, suppose now we deal more cards. Next, okay. Now at this point, this next one had a wild card, and on this slide we use a star to represent the wild card. Okay. Now, at this added letter, I would have to see whether the wild is representing D or whatever is OTTED. Okay. Now, horizontally, EM is the word M. Okay. If you are a Scrabble player, you know these two-letter words are very important. Now, so you add it to the vertical branch. Okay. Now, at this point, let me add another sort of wrinkle. In this crossword puzzle game, you can steal a branch. In other words, the letters opened up, say on the corner that just dealt, and if you use those letters and you think you can steal one branch, for example, this ranges, ANGES, you can remove ANGES, okay, with the newly dealt letters and form a new word and plant that new word onto another place or another branch, whether horizontally or vertically, okay? So this twist, again, gives you ability to make longer words, and also if you're in a competitive game, you will be able to remove the words that your opponent made and build words, for you. So that would be allowed. Okay. So let's continue on for the next slide. Okay. Okay. Now I know that wild card actually is P rather than D. I first sort of dotted, actually it's potted. Okay. So why? Because this word the player made is GRAPH as a graph. Okay. So that's because the letters underneath that dealt with R, G, A, and so on, that comes up, H comes up, so you use them and you do it horizontal. In this game, it has no limit on how long the word you can make, and also no limit where you place the word. So this flexibility is fun as well as a challenge, because now you really sort of can maximize your score, and just similar to a Scrabble pattern, that you can make multiple words by placing few letters down, so long that placement is in one line of one string of characters. Okay, so far as you can see, we start from done, added with motor, and then it was ranges, and then potted and graph. Okay, all right, let's continue as if we are dealing with more cards. Next slide, let's say there are more cards coming up, and then you will try to add another letter to it. Okay, next slide will show another word. Right. At this point, I think my shirt actually is white, so I can't really see that word so well. It's SELF. Okay, self. Okay, so the player, okay, utilized the S and then added ELF. Okay, elf onto it. So the crossword now so far is sort of growing vertically downward, okay, with self. Okay, Now continue on next slide.